One of my greatest driving forces is my family and friends. That is the reason I do this. It's really to create a better place for the family. Um, it's not even really about me. It really is about giving opportunity to the next generation and working hard for that, even when it doesn't always feel good, and knowing that I'm building something for the future that I may not even be here to enjoy. So it goes anywhere from meeting with accounts and then sometimes even just moving cases. In a day, you could run 4,000 pounds in movement. Plus, you're taking phone calls, you're answering emails, and then just sticking with the team also and seeing what they're up to and what support they need. As Andrea said, the other co-founder, we find ourselves responding to what is happening. So we start a day and you have a plan. And I always think about Mike Tyson saying he had a plan until, you got punched in the face. It's one of my favorite. That's kind of how I feel on a daily basis is you get out there and you have a great attitude, and then sometimes you get realigned in what you have to do for the day. But it always keeps you on your toes, and you got to always be responsive to, customers and the sales team, and on top of just the corporation and what they're doing. Actually, it's kind of going back to the last question. I think I like not knowing what's going to happen, and that's what keeps it spicy. You just never know what your day is going to be, even if you have a good plan. And that just is fun for me, is trying to learn what we need to know, and then trying to activate it, start working on that plan, and then we'll readjust again. I would say the hardest part is you take on a lot more than you think you need to. A lot of times you believe you can hand things off, and a lot of times we find out that we kind of have to do some hand holding in the beginning of that. And so it's a lot of one-on-one. It is a team and it is a new company, but it takes more than one person. I always joke about if you're the greatest quarterback in the world and you don't have a good wide receiver, you're not going to win any games. And so I just always believe in the team and being able to interact with them. Yeah, I think, we have our brick and mortar CBD health and wellness, as Andrea's kind of highlighted, and that really was our testing ground or understanding what the consumer was looking for or asking for, and that really guided us. A lot of times people have a belief that this is the right thing. And I always said to, as one of my mentors shared with me is, if you listen to the consumer or you listen to the business, that's the guidance you need. And if you always have the idea or you always believe you have the right idea, that can be sometimes the wrong idea. And so I think following really what the consumer is saying to us and the response of the product is really giving us our guiding force right now in our company. What caught us off guard the most was really the legalization and the state-by-state regulation, and then also insurance and the insurance difference between liquor stores and restaurants, and really trying to help the entrepreneurs that own these restaurants. They want to carry it, the consumer's asking for it, but how can we help them get through that insurance process and also that small licensing issue? For restaurants to actually be able to carry it. Liquor stores were much easier because they've gone through that, but it was still going through that process of the new insurance policies, the riders that had to happen for people to be able to actually sell this product. That was probably the most difficult thing, but as that's happened, now it's just really finding those distributors that are the best partner for us to go into a national brand. The thing that I think about with cannabis is the stigma. The stigma that's involved with it really comes from my generation and my generation before me, and really breaking down that barrier. But with the decrease of alcohol consumption in this youth of America right now, we're seeing double digits decline in beer, wine, and spirits. it's really because they're looking for a healthier choice, and it's something that doesn't interfere with their lives, but actually complements it. And so, I would hope that the stigma of cannabis and even hemp-derived products would really continue on its path, and that people could see it as a healthier choice for themselves and their family. Well, I think cannabis still is regulated quite a bit in America. We are opening, that door slowly, state by state. Believe federal will come along someday, but cannabis has really been going slow in that realm. I really believe that it is catching to the consumer, the end consumer, and appreciating what its qualities are. The thing that really is the hardest is the regulation. It's really the state by state and just the federal landscape right now. As it expands, I think that it'll get easier. But right now we have licensing issues, state or county or even town. And then also, how does it really regulate as a national product? And so I really think that the hardest part is insurance and just understanding that people are starting to ask for it. But as that happens, it makes it a lot easier to open these doors. I really think that question warms my heart because I've actually seen this in real action. Me and Andrea worked 7 days a week in the store for over 3 years together. And with carrying over 120 beverages, again, this is how it was all created. This is how Wikid, the liquid experience, it came to form. But it really was the end consumer when I started going out in the tastings and really seeing the expressions that people had. One of my favorite comments, and it took me probably over 24 times to see, but we all have samples and we all try things at the grocery store, and people would drink it and they would say, "Oh, I actually love this." And it was the word "actually" that kept popping up from person to person. And again, it highlights that a lot of times when we try things, we're like, but this really created an experience for people that they were like, "Oh my gosh, I actually like this." And that fulfills me and Andrea and the rest of the team that's putting this thing together. It's pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. I think when we first came into the market in Minnesota, 5 milligrams really were the deal. It started low and slow, which I really believe in for a health purpose. I think Minnesota did really a good job at that. And so having a 5 milligram mimosa really is a nice just chill. As the market kind of grew, we started getting into 10 milligram and larger. I like that Minnesota actually pulled it back. It was up to as much as 50 milligrams per can. They pulled it down to 10 milligrams per can, maximum 2 servings. So it's available in 5 and 10 milligrams. And I think that's really important because I keep seeing that liquor stores specifically think that, oh, everybody wants the high milligram. And the reality in our own brick and mortar and our sell through is showing that there's a lot of people that 5 milligram really fits into their comfortability. And it's not the 10 milligram. I always say, my favorite thing is to go over with 5 milligram mimosas with my mom, and we have 2 or 3 together. But I would not be having 2 or 3 10 milligrams with my mom. That's not the time and space for it. When I go to a concert, I may want a 10 milligram, 1 or 2. But really the nice thing about friends and family is that 5 milligram is available for, moms and grandmas and people that really are just looking for a soft back rub. Really the biggest view for all of us is we'd like to see it more on a mass scale, being in sports arenas, being at big music venues, and really giving that option of an alcohol consumption at a baseball game or a basketball game. And really giving them an option to have even a 5 milligram at the baseball game. That would be great. And just seeing it as an alternative for people to not just have to drink water and have to choose, water or alcohol. And so really just giving it out to the masses in the sense of different venues. And also really, I think weddings, is a big thing in weddings right now. Is our mimosa is really a hot product for weddings. It's a great alternative, and really the families and the friends are enjoying it as an alternative to alcohol. We work so hard behind the scenes, moving thousands of pounds of product, shipping things all around the states, semis, and this types of stuff. And all of that work, finally at a tasting or an end consumer or a response like that, it really, beyond the money, is really the fulfillment that our company really enjoys, is seeing that end consumer, seeing our hard work and creating a great product. It took me probably being in the business over a year before I heard this from a consumer. And I was at a tasting, and it is his brand of choice. And he says, you know what I love about this product is I drink the Mimosa in the morning, I drink the Paloma in the afternoon, and I drink the Bramble at night. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, that's brilliant. And so it really is, again, listening to the consumer and how they're using it. But it really does fit in those time frames. And I always say I do enjoy a Paloma in the evening with some dinner, but I really liked how he looked at each of our flavors and saw how it was actually a time period that he used it. That was pretty cool. Yeah, this is actually our belief in seeing the market grow. There's a lot of polls out there showing that we'll continue to grow at a very quick rate. And it really, I think, is coming from society looking to be healthier and live longer. And with that, a lot of the people that have that thought process, they're really looking for hydration versus dehydration. With alcohol, it really dehydrates you, and that's how the effect comes on. The reality is with the THC drink is it's a water-based product. And so you're actually hydrating when you're golfing. You're hydrating when you're fishing. And so it really gives you a lot longer term of actually enjoying the product and not feeling, dehydrated from the sun and everything else. If I said no, I've never doubted it. That's just not the truth. I mean, I think you doubt yourself often as a human in what we're doing. And sometimes it is only, a day or something in a week. Sometimes it's multiple days in a week. But it's actually working through that and continue pressing forward, even when sometimes you don't even know what you're doing or how you're doing it. I think what excites me the most is that we actually did it to this point, right? Is that we actually did door-to-door sales, one account at a time. I know all of the business owners personally, which has really been a fun relationship building thing. But then it was building a distributor here in Minnesota, and now having distribution in Wisconsin, and now having distribution in Illinois, and really moving on to the other states that are available for the THC market. And it really has been a lot of fun, but I think that our next journey is really finding 2 or 3 other distributors this year nationally, and really giving the opportunity of this product not just only being purchased on the internet across the country, but actually being able to find it next door to yourself. Patience. Try to be patient. I think any entrepreneur needs or wants it now. And I think one of the things that me and Andrea have grown up with through this business, through running the brick and mortar for over 5 years now and running Wikid for over a year, is really having patience with yourself and everybody working around you. It takes a lot of time and energy, but with that, you actually create a better product. And so I always look back at just trying to be patient with the process and enjoy the ride. One of my greatest driving forces is my family and friends. That is the reason I do this. It's really to create a better place for the family. It's not even really about me. It really is about giving opportunity to the next generation and working hard for that, even when it doesn't always feel good, and knowing that I'm building something for the future that I may not even be here to enjoy it. So a great story at a tasting was I had been at a tasting at this liquor store several times in the last few months, and a gentleman came up to me and he goes like, "Hey," he said, "Hey, great job last week." He goes, "My wife is now sending me here week after week to pick up the blackberry bramble," and he literally said he just got a text on his way home to make sure he stopped and got the blackberry bramble, and while I was at a tasting again at the same facility. So that was pretty fun to know that actually people are requesting their loved ones to pick it up before they come home. That was pretty cool. He loved it too. Well, the easiest way is to go to wikidgood.com and you can purchase online. There's a lot of good deals. We do a lot of times some quarterly deals, different times of the season. And so getting involved with a subscription, newsletter, that kind of thing through our website, I think is one of the best ways, especially if it's a national, somebody that's outside of our region, the Midwest. As we continue to expand, as I shared earlier, I think ultimately our goal is to be in all the states. And so if you're not living in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and a few others that'll probably be coming on board here quickly, it really one of the best ways to stay engaged with what is happening is going to wikidgood.com. And they always called it a curveball for a reason. Is you thought it was coming in straight like a fastball, and the thing spun out on you, and you swung right through it. And so in business, I think that happens a lot. I think that all entrepreneurs find that in any type of their business, especially in the beginning.